I'm an BRG leader. I took this test and I'm okay in taking care of myself. I'm okay in some of the other things. I'm even a little bit self-reflective, but I can't control my impulses. What are some of the things that you advise people to do in order to be able to control their impulses better?
First of all, we live in an impulsive culture. There's no question. From anything from shopping to if Amazon is more than 2 days, we're upset. It's just the culture we live in. Information, we can get it immediately. We live in an impulsive culture. And then there's been this fallacy that's developed, and it's going away to some degree. It is going away to some degree, but it's the idea that a leader needs to know on the spot the right decision. And if you don't, you're a weak leader. That's this idea that's out there to some degree. And it is going away because, like I said, a far more collaborative style of leadership has been emerging in the 21st century. And especially as leaders, those of you listening who are leadership, there's nothing wrong. In fact, it's far more powerful to be able to collaborate and ask some input and then make the decision instead of on the spot making that decision right away. And something I always talk about when I train leaders is solicit input. And it's far different than just saying any ideas or any questions. It's really about approaching people, especially those who might be a little more introverted or a little more shy. Maybe it's privately go and say, hey, you didn't say much in our meetings. What were your thoughts? I want those thoughts. That's powerful. Again, as leaders, we have to be impulsive and quick in this fast-paced business world we're in. We're actually doing ourselves a disservice a lot of times. Let me share a quick story with you. I trained a group of surgeons a few years ago, and they scored collectively one of the lowest I've seen ever in impulse control. It legitimately scared me. I thought, hey, these guys are, my health is in your hands here. And it's one of the lowest impulse surgeons. I really pressed them on this. I'm like, talk to me about this. What is going on? And it was a really worthwhile discussion. And I'll never forget, they justified it. They said, listen, Kelly, we're in the operating room all the time. We don't have time to collaborate and ask questions. We've got people on the operating table. Sometimes they're dying, and we just got a quick impulsive decision-making of what we think needs to happen right there then in the moment. And I thought about that. I thought, boy, that makes sense. And then I said this. I said, I get it. However, I know impulse control can be and should be higher. Keep talking. What's going on here? It was so interesting. I'll never forget this doctor who eventually piped up and he just said this. He said, you know what? I think we've taken the operating room mentality to all other aspects of our lives. You should have seen the heads in that room just nod and go, he is exactly right. In other words, is it the right decision when the medical assistant or the patient or the spouse comes up to you to talk and you go, just do this. You know what I mean? Just jump in like you're in the operating room. No, of course not. And that's the time to really make sure we're not being impulsive.
So, that whole thing about slowing down. And when you mentioned the doctor example, and how they said that they took their operating room mentality and brought it into all the other things that they did. What I think you're saying there also is that we need to develop the ability to have multiple speeds. There may be times when the situation calls for making very quick decisions with very little time and very little information. However, that's not always the case. You don't always have to do that. So I like that distinction in terms of let's make sure that we're running on the appropriate speed for whatever the task is that's at hand.